It's Dr. Marcy.
Hello.
Yeah, we're totally into tissue regeneration. We're into showing this planet how the lymphatic system in your body works. You know, one of the missing keys, and it's a big, huge missing part of the puzzle of why people suffer, is understanding one's lymphatic system. That is the sewer system in the body. The allopathic community didn't add that one into their theories, and so they're just now discovering parts of it.
Right.
So without understanding how the body gets rid of metabolitic acids in your body, you're lost. You don't understand why there's swelling in the body. You don't understand why lymph nodes swell, why tumors, why people have pimples and boils, why people get neurologically compromised. You can't explain any of these things because you don't understand how the body deals with the acid side of chemistry, which is the corrosive side of chemistry. So detoxification is that art, and with the understanding of the lymphatic system more complete, with the kidneys and the skin and understanding how the body eliminates metabolitic waste, then one can understand true detoxification and how you take someone, let's say, with eczema from head to toe and clean it right up.
Right.
Or someone with tumors in the lungs, how do you get them out? You know? So we live in this planet of treatment-based thinking, and you guys are part of the renaissance of understanding you can't treat symptoms. You have to understand the cause of the symptoms and address the cause of the symptoms.
Now, I would be curious just to hear, because you were in the medical field for a while, you were in the emergency room for a few years, so how did you go from that journey into understanding detoxification?
Well, I
and
was in this
alkaline
journey
and-
first. See, I've been a naturopath. I was in a hospital as a naturopath.
Okay.
I have been on this journey about 48 years now. So my first office was about in 72 or 3. I started seeing people and working with people. I had health food stores first.
Okay.
I came out of the woods as a hermit. Kind of went into becoming a hermit and a fruitarian because I realized that fruit was the natural food of man. You know, we're primates. We're 97% the same. So we're frugivores. And we're trying to eat foods that the body can't digest well or foods that have an acid ash. A lot of people don't understand the difference between foods because the medical community has told people it doesn't matter what you eat. Diseases are something that you can't control. And that's a theory that has no validity to it. The whole concept of diseases is ridiculous. You know, we live in a chemical world, and you interact with chemistry by just walking down the street. You know, and so that chemistry, you have to understand how it interfaces with your health of your body.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I like to give people the basic example of just creation. There's a natural created order. You know, you can't just touch fire and not expect to get burned. Like, there's just certain laws of creation, and that's the same way within our bodies with this acid-alkaline balance. And, you know, I just love how you teach that. One thing that really struck me at the seminar we just finished, if you could just explain to people, is just kind of the process of how the body's actually protecting itself from acidosis.
Oh, yeah.
And it goes through this stage of inflammation, cholesterol plaquing, calcification, all these things we see as like problems or diseases of man.
Mucus.
But you explain that these things are natural processes of the body trying to protect itself from acidosis, really, because God's a good designer.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And not to understand that would be, I don't know, a failing of the individual, because just look around and you look at a beautiful flower and it's multiple colors. How did that happen? I mean, it's just the beauty of how chemistry arranges itself, but there's a driver behind the arrangement. There's a consciousness behind that, you know. Well, understanding acid and base is key for everyone, and it's simple. And children should be taught this in school because there's only two sides of chemistry. So when you have a problem, you have to ask yourself, what is the nature of each side of chemistry? And did I break a law, like you said? Did you break a natural law? And am I bumping against the wrong side of chemistry? And so just what you said, when you understand the inflammatory process, you begin to realize why man has cholesterol problems, like you said, why you see calcifications, why you see kidney stones, gallstones, why you see everything you see. You begin to understand that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So we just want to make it real for the people who are watching it out there, because, you know, there's still, like, we can have this general understanding, and that's great. But there's still a belief that, you know, when you have cancer, there's not much you can do, or you have tumors, there's not much you can do. And what I love about your experience is that you've seen the reality that you cannot deny. The testimonials, the tumors coming out, the breast tumors being released.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, just share, I don't know, just a couple of the stories. One that struck me was the girl, I think you mentioned it, with the tumors all over her legs, and she was actually asking to have her legs removed because the pain was so severe. Like, this is the kind of suffering that people and children are going on to that the medical system has no answers to, but you're seeing people get well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because you understand the lymphatic system. And this is the lymph system. It's simply put that everything has a sewer system to it. Mm-hmm. You create a factory. You have to bring in all your materials to build whatever your factory builds, but then you have byproducts and waste that are created during manufacturing. Everybody knows that. Same thing when you burn carbon in your car, you have carbon dioxide coming out. Same thing with your diet, with the body. The body is the same thing as your car. You burn carbon fuel, and you have all the acids that come out. All food breaks down into acid waste. Mm-hmm. Well, if you understand acids are corrosive and create dehydration and agglomulation, meaning everything sticks and gets hard. I think everybody can understand, oh, my neck is stiff and tight, I'm sore. That's your lymphatic system, and that's acidosis.
Right, right. So what are some of the most, just a couple of, if you can think of any, I know there's hundreds, but of like these extreme cases you've had? And
we've had, I tell you, we've had people with multiple tumors in multiple places and got rid of all of them. Mm-hmm. Marcy's just, been with me for quite a while now, and we all here have the same, because we follow the same protocols and we understand how the body works. It isn't magic. Mm-hmm. We understand chemistry and how to hydrate and get the kidneys to filter and get these tumors out.
Well, just the story of a lady this last week, 8 tumors throughout her body, and just by cleaning up the diet and starting to alkalize the body, and I think it's been a couple of months now, working with some herbs to help getting the kidneys filtering. Remember, a tumor forms because there's been an obstruction somewhere, and the body is not cleaning away the waste that is around that weaker tissue, and so the body protectively forms things around that so that the rest of the body is safe. We are survival beings. Our body's going to do what it needs to do to survive. Right. And just by changing the diet and working with some herbs, 6 of those tumors have already disappeared, and it's only been, I think, 2 months. Wow. 2 months so far. Amazing.
Oh, yeah. I've had a model that had lung and bone cancer, 43 days on grapes and lemons. Wow. No more bone and lung cancer left. Tumors. We had a 9-month-old with a tumor.
9 months old.
9 months. Wow. And that shows you that your lymphatic system is set by mama. Right. Because you're hooked into her fluids. Remember, the body's just cells and fluids. That's all your body is. So your body's made of approximately 100 trillion cells. There's some but give or take. So let's say 100 trillion cells. So you have to feed 100 trillion cells chemistry, right? Food, nutrition, right? But also you have to clean 100 trillion cells. Just like a baby you bring home from the hospital, you don't just feed them. You gotta clean them. And so how do you do that? And that's those interstitial spaces. Those are the spaces around every cell in your body, including bone. And that's how your body gets blood, and then the lymph moves it away. Yeah. The fluid in those spaces are 20% blood, 80% lymphatic. So it shows you how vital the lymphatic system is. Well, when you have a modality like the allopathic community that does not understand this, they make everything look like it's a disease and they can treat it. Then that's what kills so many people. Yeah. The allopathic community kills so many people needlessly because they don't understand what you guys understand, the great lymphatic system.
Well, a lot of people listening may not understand what acids do. And this may be the first time that they're even hearing about the lymphatic system or acids and what they do in the body. And Robert referenced babies, feeding them and cleaning them. But what happens if you do not change a baby? What happens to the bottom? The red, the diaper rash, that is acid breaking down the skin. Yeah. And so think about what that's doing inside the body to all the organs and the cells and the tissues and different things like that.
This is why there is that inflammatory process. Some people think inflammation is a disease. Yeah. And it's not. It's the body's natural immune response. Right. To what? Right.
Totally. Well, could you give us just an idea, because some people have heard this acid alkaline concept, but what's the basics of the diet, or at least where should a person start, and what does an alkaline diet look like so people can heal and get well?
Well, think about this. When you look at chemistry, the acid side is the corrosive, I'm going to break you down, tear you apart side. We have to have that because we're in an atom rearrangement universe. In other words, it's already created here. And if someone out there wants to have a baby, it requires atoms to build the structures of cells and everything else in the human body. Where do you get those atoms? In a universe that's already built. So things have birth, life, and death to them. So things like trees break down, people die, everything turns over, and we take those atoms and use them to rebuild other structures here. Mm-hmm. But the acid side of chemistry is responsible for breaking down things, but it's also responsible, it is also the byproducts of metabolism, respiration, the whole processes, even the Krebs cycles, all the cycles of digestion, all release all these acids. Mm-hmm. Acids have an agglomeration effect. They dehydrate you. The other side of chemistry, the alkaline side or the base side, hydrates you. So when you're running and exercising, you're creating a lot of acids. So then you run to grab something to drink to hydrate you. So acids dehydrate, alkalis hydrate. Mm-hmm. And this planet is an alkaline dominant chemistry planet. Because in an acidic dominant chemistry planet, people couldn't live. Right. Life couldn't live. It's in a corrosive environment. Right. So when you allow your waste in your body from all your cells to build up, it becomes corrosive to the cells. Mm-hmm. That's why you have all that protection from cholesterol, calcium, histamines, leucins, all these things like that.
So even, if you look at diet, even people who are trying to eat healthy, say before processed foods, I mean, a lot of foods people have always eaten have been on the acidic side. Mm-hmm. People do dairy and they do grains and they do meat, and then people switch to a healthy diet and they still eat like healthier versions of those foods. And then on top of that, we've created these super acidified foods like soda pop and all these things. And again, you want to talk about we don't think about things that don't kill us instantly, right. But this process of acidosis is just constantly happening in our body, and it's getting worse to worse generation.
Well, you have two types of foods, just like you were saying. You either have the acid ash or acid forming foods, or you have the alkaline forming foods. So if you made it simple, most of your fruits, berries, melons, and vegetables are alkaline forming. Mm-hmm. Your grains, your beans, your meats, your processed dairy products have an acid ash to them. So if you have an acid ash food that you're eating, its in ash is acidic. Well, blood is alkaline. So now all these acids are going into the blood, these proteins, and now your blood has to compensate for that because it will pull it down into the acid side, mm-hmm. and death is within about 3 minutes. Okay. So your blood can't be acidic. So the body then has to steal the calcium out of the walls of your arteries, and that gives you the varicose veins, spider veins, bruising easy, all the things that people see, aneurysms, herniations, things like that.
Right. So diet-wise, if you're talking about an alkaline diet, obviously people who are more sick or chronic probably got to be more extreme. Some people might be able to be more balanced. But if somebody's in a chronic situation, what is the best thing to start on? You've mentioned people doing grape fast to heal of chronic illnesses, and so what would you say the best fruits are, and diet to start with for somebody who's chronic versus somebody who just wants to make good changes?
Well, especially those that are coming to me with ALS, Parkinson's, cancer, those kind of things, I try and get them to transition to a fully alkaline diet as soon as I can get them talked into that. Mm-hmm. Most of them are desperate enough. They've done all these treatment-based things, and this
right.
is their last resort.
Right. 20 doctors and thousands of dollars. And, right.
Many have lost their savings, their entire savings mm-hmm. for this. And so I try and talk them into going on either one of two that I have found has been the highest, and that is either a grape or a lemon fast.
Okay.
For as long as I can talk them into doing it. If they can give me 10 days, great. If they can't do the 40 days, they can only do the 10, take a break, go back and do another 10.
When do you add in alkalizing greens, like an alfalfa or a superfood blend or something?
I work with that a lot if somebody is coming to me and they are very, very malabsorbed, underweight, and we have to do some cleaning and then some building.
Right.
And we go kind of back and forth with that. And I mix the greens in a little bit if I'm trying to build. If somebody comes to me and they're so weak that they can't even get off the couch because their adrenals are so low and compromised, then we may mix some green drinks in there to help build that up a little bit.
Right.
But at some point, you still have to get to the cleaning phase. Most people don't think about that. You clean your cars, you clean your house, you clean your pools. We've totally forgotten about cleaning the body.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're just talking about neurological cases. Let's look at a few. Because we've had, ALS comes here, and we've had cases of ALS where you're in a wheelchair, your limbs are already modeling, you have no voice. And a good example is the lady we had out at this place a few months ago or a year ago. And she was a singer. She couldn't sing anymore. She couldn't talk anymore. She couldn't move anymore. Now, I put her all on fruit. That's it. And she was up and walking and pushing that within about 4 months, I think it was. But you could see her unfolding. Then she started talking. Then she could sing. And she started moving. Now, she wasn't running. But within 6 to 7 months, it was your jaw would drop.
Yeah.
And I've reconnected higher end quadriplegics. I've connected, but on fruit only.
Yeah.
And you bring up the greens. The problem, greens would be great for horses and elephants. But when you're talking primatish and you're talking about man and primates' nervous systems, you got to have a higher form of food. And the highest form of food on the planet are fruits and berries. Those are genetically and the most powerful nutritionally. I've got a lot of friends that are multiple doctored professors, and we all agree with that the chemistry of the berries in particular, properly grown fruit would be the same way.
Right.
Something that people don't realize when they look at a fruit versus a vegetable is the energy difference, the digestive difference.
Right.
When you're looking at different foods, there's also different species designed to deal with these. So when you talk about greens, when you look at animals that eat greens, they grind the greens because greens are so thick cellulosely. So they grind it. We don't grind our food, but the horses, I was raised farming, and so we had horses as well. And so you can watch them grind those greens up, and then you have multiple compartments or stomachs to go through.
Right.
Some as much as 7 stomachs to go through in this process of greens. We only have one, a very simple digest. We all go basically up and down.
Yeah.
So we are suited so perfectly for fruit. We don't have really anything naturally. We pick, peel, eat. And then, but energetically, I couldn't get that ALS case to walking with greens.
Right. So, I know you see a lot of extreme. Did you want to say something?
I was just going to add to this case the ALS case that he was talking about. If you want to see what acids do to the body, I mean, literally, she could not move, locked down. Her toes were curled in under. And with working with parathyroid and loosening in the alkaline diet, they started straightening right out, and she started sitting up again to the point where she could even walk. I mean, there's a process. Everything is about a process. And you're not going to go from boom to boom to boom. You've got to work yourself. So she had to work her toes and be able to stand up before she could, even take those steps.
Right.
And so, to be able to do that, and I think it was 4 to 6 months that she did that.
It was shocking how fast. So the lymphatic system includes the mucosa that lines every part of your body. Whenever you consume certain proteins, it irritates. These are acids, and they irritate this mucosa. So chemistry is foreign to the body. It could be something that you like to eat, but foreign chemistry to the body. The body doesn't want it. You'll get a mucosic response called mucus.
Right.
That mucus, and dairy is as everybody knows, the king of causing mucus in people.
Right.
Well, when you start detoxifying, what comes up? When you get congestion in your sinuses, what is it? It's mucus, but it is all through you. So that mucus is just from him. The mold, that mucus, all that's just taken. That'll come right out with the mucus. The real problem of losing weight is probably not the mold. It is why the mucus, and that is malabsorption. You're talking about the lymphatic system now. If he has copious amounts of mucus like that, then his interstitial spaces in his small bowels are probably really thickened and backed up interstitially.
So the thick mucus coats everything. You
Absolutely.
can't digest and absorb,
Absolutely.
and that's the weight loss.
It becomes a major obstruction.
And you know, when the medical community, it's a mystery. It's a mystery why he's losing weight.
No,
we don't
no, it's
understand
no
why he's
mystery. When
losing
you
weight.
lose weight like that, you have malabsorption big time. But it's the same system that he has these copious amounts of mucus with. And so he's going to see it. And shit, this mucus needs to come out his urine, especially his urine. But it also needs to come out his stool. So he needs to see all this mucus coming out of him. Right now it's this way. But if you get him on a fruit diet and everything, hopefully it'll pull down the other way a little bit. But they also, when you have someone like that, and if you're a quad and paraplegic, you have to have a suction machine.
Yeah.
Or you're, you know, because you don't have the power to cough it out.
Especially ALS
Right.
and
ALS the same way, you know.
Yeah.
So, are there you mentioned like grapes and lemons? Are there certain things that can pull it down out through his bowels as opposed to having it come up through his
Yeah, good
chest
question.
and his?
Yeah, I think
mouth?
only when we do the lymphatic formulas and the kidneys and the herbal side that can be possible. I think because when you start with the hydration, when you start hydrating, all this mucus loosens up. You know, when people try to cough and they feel like they have a plug,
Right.
that's developing under an acidic environment. When you start eating alkaline-rich foods, it starts loosening that up because alkaline foods are the electrolytes. They hydrate, they ionize acids.
Right.
So then you have hydration. All this mucus starts loosening up. Here it comes. Sinus, lungs, bronchi. You know, but it also bowel walls, kidney walls, everywhere. Body's full of mucus.
But one thing we got to always remember, the kidneys are the cleaners. They are the filters that get the junk out. You've got 5 primary ways that your body eliminates. You've got your bowels. You've got the urinary, which is the kidneys, the adrenals. The adrenals are the brains of the kidneys. You've got your lymph, you've got your lungs, and you've got your skin.
Right.
It's gonna, if it needs to come out and the body is saying, I need this out now,
Right.
it's gonna come out one of those 5 ways. Well, normally, like tumors and cysts and things like that, that's the body breaking those down and being eliminated through the kidneys.
Right.
You are not going to, unless it's in the colon, you're not going to, excuse me for being graphic, but poop out a lung tumor.
Right.
You're just not.
Right.
You're not even necessarily, maybe some have, but cough one up. Your body is going to try and break that down and eliminate it. Your kidneys are the filters. And if your kidneys are not filtering, you're backing up in all these ways and you're creating obstructions.
What's your largest kidney?
Skin.
Skin.
Yeah.
So your skin, you got to sweat. That's a thyroid issue because if your kidneys aren't filtering, you better sweat your butt off.
Right.
You want to open the doors and eliminate, not hold in. Pharmaceuticals suppress and hold everything in you. Well, that's why you get tumors and everything. Why do you do that? And the other thing is the use of antibiotics. How ridiculous. This is what's compromised most humans.
Right.
Why? Bacteria in your lymph nodes.
Yeah.
That's bacteria in your septic tanks. You kill the bacteria in your septic tanks, what would happen to your house?
Yeah.
Same thing. They're
You got
killing
all
our
these-
bacteria. They're killing the things that we need to help us.
You got all these mamas with babies having ear infection or cough or thrush or the fever at 99, and what do? You go to the doctor and the first thing they do is put them on antibiotics.
Yeah.
Stop it. Why is the symptom happening?
Yeah.
We're just going to stop it. No, fix why it's happening, and you'll fix the child or you or whoever.
Exactly.
So, like going back to this chronic issue, you could start with the grape juice, and would it be enough? You were mentioning the kidneys. Would it be enough just to start with kidneys and adrenals and the grape juice, and not throw them into too much of a intense
Well, I would
detox?
do kidneys, adrenals, endocrine glands, parasite in. You want to go after that mold.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I would do heavy amounts of parasite in.
Okay.
So I'd follow in that way. What's all his problem?
He's got the trach tube and the weight loss and the lots of mucus.
That's all?
He had pneumonia. He had to go back into the
Yeah,
hospital
he just
for
told me.
pneumonia.
Oh,
He
yeah.
had cancer in his throat, right?
Yeah, he originally had cancer in
Oh,
the
I
throat,
see.
and they radiated it.
So
They
that's
said,
where his problem is.
you know, the
Right.
quote unquote, the cancer's
Yeah,
gone.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
But-
So here's this guy is in deep trouble. So you have the chemotherapy or radiation blowback, right? So now he has to get his butt moving. So all this mucus coming out, that was the problem in the first place. You know, all the lymph and that's what breaks down the cells.
Right.
So now he's got to get going or that'll explode in his throat. You don't just radiate and disappear and you're okay. No,
Right.
you took the wrong road. So now you just burnt also, and I'm sure he has lost his saliva glands and everything else from that. You got to be real careful, because now what's coming is tumors in the neck and everything, because he didn't fix the system that's in trouble. He just killed the cells.
Right.
Well, the cells isn't the problem.
The lymph.
It's the lymph the problem.
Yeah.
It's the fluid that's a problem that blows back on the cell. If you kill the cells, you still haven't fixed the fluid, and there's more cells going, and then the cells you damage with radiation.
Exactly. You kill off these cells, but you damage all these around it.
Right.
Crazy.
So that's why down the road, these are weak and compromised now.
Yeah.
They're eventually going to become destroyed and damaged the same way. So it's not a matter of, I've gotten rid of this, and now I'm free of this.
Right.
It is just a matter of time.
For the blowback.
3 months
Right.
down the line,
Right.
3 years down the line. I'm sorry, but your cancer's back.
And it's actually creating more work for the lymph
Right.
that was already down in the first place.
Exactly.
Right.
You didn't clean the sewage plant and get things working properly. You just added all this other
Right.
junk.
Exactly.
Right.
And see, all those cells that they damage with the radiation, the only way they can be gotten rid of so the body can replace them is through the lymph system. The macrophages are in the lymph nodes that break down these cells. So the lymphocytes have to take these cells to the lymph nodes. Well, when your highway of the lymph is backed up, you can't take cells to the lymph nodes. That highway is backed up. Lymph nodes are swollen all the way back up to what Marcia said, the kidneys or the skin.
Yeah.
So you got to open those doors. If you don't open those doors, you can't get the lymph nodes to drain. You can't go past the lymph nodes into the cells and get to the cells.
Right.
And so you have destruction, and then becomes a feeding frenzy.
Yeah. So on that note, just because, again, we work with a lot of women, and I think one of the biggest, if not the biggest fear with women out there is breast health and breast cancer and the breast lumps. And it's so bad that women get a little lump and they run and they get it biopsied, or even they're getting the mastectomies just when they have no issues.
Or the genetic gene.
Yeah, that they have the genetic gene, quote unquote, because it's in their family and they're getting their breast removed or they're getting it biopsied. Can you just talk about the dangers and really just the ignorance, as not a bad word, but it's just the reality of the ignorance of our medical community in biopsying those things and the dangers in that?
Well, first of all, I'll just address breast cancer here for a little bit. You find a lump and you go in and they want to do a biopsy. First of all, that lump was there because of an obstruction. It wasn't being eliminated and drained through a lymph node and cleaned the way that it was supposed to. So you're going to go into this, you're going to take tissue that is already obstructed and already inflamed, and you're going to, what that biopsy does is it rips out tissue, it tears it, and it creates more inflammation, more scarring, more obstructions, and then they're putting these markers, so to speak, in. These metal markers in there so that they can find where they were before. And the body is having a response to that in as well.
Foreign material.
Exactly. Instead, get that area. First of all, if you find any type of lump, you need to be doing fruits, melons and berries. You need to be getting the kidneys filtering. You need to be getting the lymphatic moving to get that obstruction gone so that it doesn't. These women who allow these lumps to just continue to grow and grow and grow before they even address it, most people get scared. You go to the doctor and they say something, even the word cancer, not even diagnosed, but the word cancer, and it puts the fear of death into them right away.
And can you just tell them that they have time?
Absolutely.
Tell people, we have time. We have time, right?
Exactly.
Women have time.
If you got a couple of weeks, we can save you. If you got a couple of days, maybe not.
But when these things first start, there's time. It doesn't have to be this immediate fear response.
No.
Well, Robert and I were reading, he shared with me an article. If you find out you have cancer, now depending on the stage, and I understand all that, but if you find out that you have cancer, if you do nothing, your chances of living longer than if you did everything that the medical profession had you do is what was...
Yeah.
Was it 12 years?
This was a study, I think, at Harvard maybe even, where they found that the sooner the diagnosis, the sooner the treatment, the sooner the death.
Yeah.
Because these studies are showing that, just like Marcia said, if you do nothing, you'll live 12 times longer. If you do nothing.
Wow.
And CBS did a study that took prostate cancer, and they found the same thing. They found if you did not treat that, you would live 12 times longer. The issue of treatment, again, going back to biopsies, when your body forms a tumor, you do not want to punch that. You will explode, and you talk to ladies who have had the biopsies, they were doing fairly well till the biopsy. I have friends in the medical community. I asked a surgeon one time, why do you do that when you know, when you open that tumor, when you biopsy that tumor, it then explodes things? And he said, it's my job. I said, oh, really? So you want to be smart about that. Your body has isolated this acid slurry. This is acid slurry. And your body has isolated that. Leave it alone. It'll open back up when you open up the pathways. Remember, your kidney and your axillary lymph nodes, they're just right here. Right here to the right breast, right there to the left breast. And you've got to open up that matrix and open that up, because the lymph nodes in that area feed the lungs too. And so they used to remove all of them. So what I would get is breast cancer, now lung cancer.
Wow.
Constantly.
I've had a number of clients, one of them, 3 suspicious lymph nodes in the neck.
Sure.
And he went in, they were going to take those 3 and test them. First of all, I'm totally against that, because you've just removed part of your septic system, first of all. Second of all, he went into surgery, and when they came out, they had removed 54.
So he's done.
So by the time he got to me, his neck was out to here.
Wow.
He never made it.
And that's what's happened with women with the breast removal
Absolutely.
too. The lymph
Absolutely.
nodes being removed.
Absolutely.
Can't do it.
We're going to take a suspicious septic part of your body, the part, not septic, but the part that cleans. We're going to take the part that cleans the body and keeps you healthy.
Right.
Your immune system.
Right.
We're going to remove part of it.
Like taking the tonsils out of these kids and stuff.
Ow.
Well, you've got 100 to thousands of cells designed for one lymph node. A lymph node is a septic tank. It has bacteria in it, and it has one more thing in it. Macrophages to break down cells that have been damaged. Blood doesn't do that. The lymph nodes do that. You remove that, and those cells on the other side of that have no way to get rid of their metabolitic waste. And now you're going to get lymphedema first, swelling, like Marcy says, and then you're going to start breaking those cells down. And you can just count they're going to be tipped over, because acid just go ahead and destroy the whole cell. You know?
Well, Robert said, you don't want to go in and punch that nodule or that
lymph node even.
Or even the lymph node. And if you want to test this theory out, go find yourself this big, muscly soldier and just walk up to him and slap him or punch him and see if you don't get blowback.
Yeah, well said. I love what you said, I don't know, yesterday or the day before, but you said a tumor, as it grew, is the same way that it will be removed or reduced or taken away. So again, if we trust in God and we trust in design and we trust that that's actually a sign or a symptom of a problem, which we know is a backed up sewer system, why would we not think we couldn't clean it out and have it reduce and go away? Like, I give people the example all the time of God has a to-do list. He loves our bodies. He loves our temples. There's a to-do list, and that tumor's on the to-do list. But have you ever had a to-do list and you couldn't get everything done on the list? So he wants to get the tumor removed, but he's so busy digesting all this food and dealing with all this acid waste and all this inflammation in different parts of the body, it can't get to the removal of the tumor. And that's why we have to get extreme sometimes with cleansing and fruits and doing these things. And also overcoming the lie of the medical community that there's nothing you can do.
Exactly.
Which is ingrained in us.
Which is designed to remove your hope. And there is no such thing as no hope.